Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Henrico County, Virginia for tonight's running of the SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series. We've got 166 laps of this 3/4 mile T-shaped oval for you tonight. Our second short track race of the season. Last week we were at Bristol and we saw a first-time winner in the SimPossible Racing League. Travis Zuderman was able to outlast the field in a pretty chaotic race to take home the win. So will we see that again tonight? Who knows? He said he's pretty good here. And definitely we will have to wait and see. I don't actually see him in the field right now, so definitely have to wait and see if he does actually show up. But either way, very cool track. Richmond is my home track, so I obviously am a bit biased towards it. Kyle Zimmer is at the top of the leaderboard right now with a 20.981. Two drivers in the 22nd bracket right now, him and AJ Digby with a 993, and then the rest are in 21-second brackets there. But we have about 3 minutes left in practice, so these drivers definitely getting the last minute feel of their car dialed in. There's Nate Catilla on the screen right there. He is in, I believe, he is in ninth on the speed charts right now. You kind of see the sky out there. It's pretty dark here, about 8 o'clock in the sim. There's a little bit of an issue there off turn number 2, but gets it righted and probably gonna stop here on track. But it's about 8 o'clock in sim, so we're definitely going to be starting this race either at full nighttime or at the dusk, and we're gonna definitely be at the nighttime by the end of this race. There's Dave Wilson, who so far has about 3 wins on the series so far. I do believe, yes, he does. I just verified that, so definitely, you know, he's always one to look forward to running well, especially at a short track right here, because he did win at the event at Phoenix, which is a pretty similar track to this, the way it drives. So, you know, he's always one to look forward at every week. He is 4th on the board right now with a 21.014. So really, the times are pretty close here. From first to last is about a second, not even a second, it's about 9/10 of a second. So very close field tonight, so we're definitely going to see if we can get a really competitive race. But you know, this track is one of the better tracks on the schedule, I think, for drivers at least. A lot of drivers seem to like this just because it's really different than anything else we race. Like I said, it does race a little bit like the Phoenix track in the way you drive it, but it's definitely not similar in the track layout at all. If we can get an onboard here with Nate Catilla, kind of take you around this track real quick. It's going into turn 1 right now. You swing it way out wide there, get it right down to that yellow line, swing it out here off turn number 2. That turn does fall away very much, so you have to be mindful of your throttle application. Down into turn 3, you want to get right next to that bottom line. There's a pit wall right to your left, and swing it off 4 right across the line. So pretty quick laps here. They do go by pretty quickly, but it is one of the best ways to describe this track. It is a short track that races like a speedway, and that was something that I always remember from coming here. It's pretty fast. You do get up to about a 140-50 miles an hour here into turn number 1. So you're definitely carrying a lot of speed, but it is still a short track. So you know, aero certainly does come into play, and we will probably see bumping and banging as well. So it really has the qualities of each track type. But either way, practice is over now, and Kyle Zimmer is your quote-unquote winner of practice. He's going to probably enjoy that. Going to go up here into qualifying, knowing that he was the fastest in that session, and see what he can do in the 5 minutes that we have here to go. But there's Dave Wilson on the track right now. He's the first one out. See what he can do. We do have lone qualifying here, so no open qualifying. So all these drivers are going to have 2 laps to themselves to see what they can do around the track. But there's Dave Wilson coming through turn at number 3 right there. Gonna try to get that good run off. You really do carry a lot of speed off 4. You really want to make sure you get that good run into turn 1 and just make sure you don't overdrive the corner. Looks like he didn't get the bottom there very well. Hit about a half a car length, or a car width, excuse me, up off that yellow line. So we'll see what kind of a lap time he's able to get. Dave Wilson, a 21.125. 21.24, so about a tenth slower than his practice lap. But he is at the top of the board right now. The only other driver to take time was Tim Masters. He's about 3/10 off Wilson's time. There's Tanner Sharp. I know he likes the short tracks. He's ran well here in the past at Richmond in other leagues and official racing and such, so we'll see what he can do. I think he will be one to look out for tonight. Looks like the track has actually descended further into darkness as we've gone to this session. The sky is almost completely dark off in the distance. Not much light left around here. Tanner Sharp across the line at 21.118, so move him to the top of the board for the time being. See if anyone else wants to come out on track. There's Fernando Matos, who had a very good run last week at Bristol, got his first podium of the season. It was a pleasure to talk to him. Nate Cotillo on track as well. He's coming through turn number 4 right now to begin his lap across the line there. See what he can do. Definitely Nate was able to win a race this season at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And see what kind of a lap time he gives running that line into turn 3. I think really, he gets a little wobbly off turn number 4. Definitely going to hurt his lap a lot in P7 right now after that. So here's Kyle Zimmer, fastest in practice, and he goes fastest in qualifying by about a little bit over a tenth. So that's a very impressive lap time. Excuse me, that is not over a tenth. That's a little bit under a tenth. I don't know numbers. We're continuing the theme up here in the booth, even though it is me only tonight, but backing up his practice time with a very good qualifying time. Certainly, he does go a little bit quicker than he did in practice as well, so very impressive to see that. There's AJ Digby, one of the faster drivers in the league as well, was able to finally get that monkey off his back on the Truck Series side a few weeks ago before kind of all came undone in the championship race at Homestead, but definitely he's somebody who always is good to watch for week in and week out. Very fast driver, very talented, so we'll see what he can do here across the line. I don't know if he hit the wall there. Got very close, and I think it might have, no, it did not disqualify his lap, but goes into 8th position right now for the time being. About a minute and a half left to go in this session, so we've had 11 drivers take time so far, and we know that Brian Lohead probably won't take a time. He usually doesn't, perennial non-qualifier of the league, so AJ Digby moves up to a 4th spot, the 21.250, so that's a very good lap time for the second lap on his tires. We'll have to see if that does matter in the race, because usually you want to make your fast lap on the first lap out, but it seems like tires might not be too much of an issue here tonight. There's Digby just running some extra practice laps, obviously not counting for his qualifying spot, but maybe he's just not comfortable with the track, or maybe just wants to get a couple extra practice laps, because that's never a bad thing. But looks like that I don't see anyone else besides Digby on the track right now with about 40 seconds left to go. So we have to go ahead and presume that maybe Kyle Zimmer might have won this pole for the time being, but either way, definitely a good start to his weekend, going fastest in practice and presumably going to be the pole sitter with 20 seconds left to go. Definitely no time for anyone to come out of the pits and start a lap, let alone finish one. So definitely I think that we are done with this session. But looking at the track right here, this track has the track, as we see here, has grandstands surrounding the entirety of the speedway. That is not the case anymore in real life, because the grandstands on the backstretch and then in turns 3 and 2 are no longer there. So it's a bit weird for me seeing it. Either way, this is what we got. This was from about 2008, I believe, or 2009. So either way, these drivers are going to be gridding up here and getting ready to go for 2 pace laps to get this event underway. We'll get your starting order real quick here for you. On the pole, Kyle Zimmer with a 20.943, a very good lap time for him, and going to be starting to his outside, Tanner Sharp in the number 3 machine. Second row is going to consist of Dave Wilson and AJ Digby. Starting in 5th, we have Chris Roberge, and to his outside, Tim Masters in number 9. Billy Wise going to be rolling off in 7th spot with Fernando Matos to his outside in 8th. Nate Catilla going to be rolling off in the 9th spot with Johnny Berardi rounding out your top 10. The final qualifier of the night is Thomas Wise in the 1 machine, and to his outside, Tom Johnson, your first non-qualifier in 12th. Doug McCollum, Alan Capers, and Brian Lohead are going to be finishing off your grid for tonight. So really excited to see how this goes, because short tracks are always fun. They're always fun to watch, and this is a really cool race to watch regardless. Obviously a bit biased here because it is my home track, but definitely these drivers in the SimPossible Racing League do put on a good show week in and week out. If you don't know about this league yet, just tuned in and wondering about it, these are all disabled drivers in the league, and you know, they do put on as good of a show as anyone else, if not better. So definitely, it's always a pleasure to watch them race, because it really really shows that it doesn't really matter that they are disabled, because they do put on one hell of a show. And it's definitely a pleasure to commentate and watch this league. So just a cool thing to do. But I see some camera flashes in there. A bit of an anachronism there, because you don't really see that anymore. Nobody has camera flash unless you turn it on your phone, but it's not something you see like you used to. But we are rolling off here for 2 pace laps. See that the track has descended fully into darkness. There's no light left around the speedway, so definitely track probably not going to change too much the rest of the night. We're about 78 degrees track temp and air temp, so very nice night here in Richmond, Virginia. Going to be good for racing, and I think it's going to be a good hot race on the speedway. See what the start brings, because we do typically see at this track where the outside hub, excuse me, through that corner, and definitely have to wait or see if they can do that. But are coming through 1 and 2 here for our last pace lap. So these drivers are getting their belts tight. They are kind of just figuring out what they're going to be doing on this first lap, because it is definitely going to be go time here, and really not much time left to kind of ponder what you're going to do, because we are going to be getting going here. Pace car is about to make that hard left in pit road, and yes, it does. So the start is on the green flag here. See what they do. Green flag is out. Kyle Zimmer gaps Tanner Sharp by about a car length. So what I was saying about holding that line into 1, I don't think that's going to be an issue anymore. Dave Wilson actually gets by Tanner Sharp pretty easily through 1 and 2. Tanner is actually under fire from Digby as well, so he did not get off to a good start at all. He's actually about to lose another spot to Christopher. So definitely the spot's bleeding away from Tanner at this stage of the race, but we do have a lot of laps here to go. So really needs to not worry about it too much. Tanner actually fighting back on the outside line with Digby. Very close there off turn number 2. And there's a fight for the lead there. Dave Wilson looks under Kyle Zimmer, making that dive in turn 3. One of the best passing zones on this track. That is the tightest corner here. So we have a battle for first and a battle for 3rd place. Digby and Sharp for 3rd, and Wilson and Zimmer for 1st. That's really your only 2 battles on the track so far, but they both are very tight at the time being. And Digby, it's like he, almost some contact there in turn 3. He actually, I think they might have moved Tanner out of the way, but Tanner does get it collected and move AJ Digby back up to 3rd. And Dave Wilson was able to get the spot on Kyle Zimmer, but he kind of misses turn 1 and 2, goes really high, and Zimmer's going to see if he can come back here off turn number 2. Nothing came out of that, but looks like Wilson might be actually running that higher line on purpose, so that's something you do technically see here a lot. This is a multi-groove track. You do sometimes get those upper grooves in, usually not 1 and 2, but it's working well for Wilson right now. You see him kind of rolling that high line pretty well. But AJ Digby behind Kyle Zimmer there, looking to see if he can do something with that 25 machine. Nothing coming out of that yet. So we are, so there's Zimmer looking on Wilson through 1 and 2. He's running that lower line as Wilson looks like he is committed to that high side, but don't believe, yeah. So as I say that, Zimmer kind of just drives around Wilson. So that high line probably not in just yet, but maybe Dave Wilson just trying to get it up there because he knows that's where he wants to run. He's going to lose second to Digby as well. So really, this is a kind of a flip-flop up here in the top 4 so far, because we have seen all of these drivers change positions. The biggest mover of the field, or the night so far, back in 9th place, Alan Capers up 5 spots from his starting spot. 14th, so he is up to 9th place. Back here at the front, though, these 4 still going at it, very close, and they've actually brought Tim Masters into the hunt. See there, him right there at the end of the queue here in that red and blue number 9 machine. He's right behind Tanner Sharp. Actually, looks like he might be looking on Tanner in just a moment. No, he does not. So Tanner's spot is safe. But AJ Digby here up at the front, he looks like he's getting a little bit racy with Zimmer. And might have to remind these guys that this is 166 laps. We're on lap 9, so racing really hard up here, but it's always good to see. That's why I kind of said that these guys do put on racing as good as anyone else, if not better. But there's AJ Digby looking on the bottom of Zimmer. He gets a great run through turn 2, and looks like he's probably going to take the lead into turn number 3. He has that preferred groove on the bottom. Zimmer is going to have to fight off Dave Wilson, who is on that group as well, for second spot. Zimmer actually hit the wall a little bit, just throwing up a little bit of sparks, no damage, but he did lose second to Dave Wilson, so some trouble. Looks like Digby got really high there off number 2, but that's, Digby gets doesn't get a great run off 4, and that's going to allow Wilson to look on the inside of him. Wilson has that low line into turn 1 to see if he can outbrake Digby. I do believe he might, but Digby's not going to give it up without a fight. He's going to come back here off turn number 2. That good run on the outside, but I think it will be little too late for him. Dave Wilson. Oh, actually, as I say that, here comes Digby with a great run out of turn number 4, and we might be 3 wide here. No, we're not. They all think better of it, but definitely not any. We don't know who the clear player is here at the front yet, because they're all swapping positions left and right. Here comes Tanner Sharp on Kyle Zimmer for 3rd place, running on that low line. So move Kyle Zimmer back to the 4th. Tanner Sharp going to try to come back to where he started. That's in 2nd place. Dave Wilson has that spot. He definitely wants it. We have some car up here on the high side in trouble. That's Thomas White. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he is definitely slow on the racetrack, but stays well up and out of the leader's way. So no harm, no foul in that regard, but your leader right now, AJ Digby, with probably the biggest lead we've seen all race, about 4/10 over Dave Wilson, who is under fire from Tanner Sharp right now. Tanner actually does get the good run through turn number 2 and move him into the 2nd place. Might have a battle heating up for 4th with Zimmer and Masters. Those 2 drivers have kind of been nose to tail for most of this race. Not much that Masters has been able to do just yet, but definitely is hunting there. There's Tom Johnson and Fernando Matos battling on your screen. That's for 10th place. Ooh, contact! Johnson actually goes spinning through the infield grass on the front stretch and into the wall, but no caution out yet. I don't believe that will actually throw one unless he can't get going, but I think he actually already has. So just a little bit of contact there with the 17 racing deal there, and unfortunately for Tom Johnson, that's going to make him lose a lap. You see there, it looks like Matos just a little bit tight off 4, but definitely Tom Johnson's not getting him a lot of room, which he's under no obligation to do so, but that's just kind of something that happens because really there's not a lot of racing room off 4. It does swing, or it does tighten up, even though it does swing out. That might not make sense, but it definitely does do that thing. But we do have a battle for the lead here. Tanner Sharp saying he wants it. Contact almost in turn number 1. I'm not sure if there was, but it was definitely close. You couldn't fit a piece of paper in between those 2. But Tanner just got a great run off of turn 4 and took it into turn 1 there on Digby. And Digby is not giving up. He's not going to let Tanner have this lead. And Digby is running that high line pretty well on both ends of the speedway, but I think Tanner might get the advantage of him right here. Yes, he does. So moves Tanner Sharp to the lead. Dave Wilson, it's like he got out of the groove off turn number 2 a little bit there, but did not hit the wall or anything, just lost a bit of momentum. And so Tanner Sharp looks like he's going to be driving away from Digby here. About a 0.3 second lead right there, but Digby is very good in turn 1. Look at how he closes on the back bumper of Tanner there. Ooh, contact! Digby and Berardi off number 2. Berardi was a lap car. It looks like Digby just got into him there. Let's see if we can get a replay there, because that definitely did hurt Digby a lot, but not sure what happened, but definitely there was a lot of contact there. I don't think Digby is too bad off as far as damage. See on board here with Digby. Ooh, yeah. Berardi just got in the wall, but kind of bounced down off of it. Nothing he could have done there, but Digby definitely the loser in that. Probably not too happy with the situation, but either way, it could have been a lot worse as well. But there is quite a bit of damage on Digby, so the front end is a little bit scraped up and bent up, and doesn't look like it used to, but definitely could have been a lot worse. At least he's not nosed into the inside wall or something like that, so he is going to be able to live and fight another day. But that did give Tanner Sharp about a 0.7 of a second lead over Dave Wilson, and about a further 2 seconds back to Kyle Zimmer. So that did have the unfortunate effect of spreading out this good fight for the lead we had for the top 5. And I don't really see battle on track. Actually, right there's Apers and Billy Wise. They're battling for the 6th spot. So Alec Apers actually up 7 spots from where he started. So a good run for him in the time being. They're negotiating the lap car of Berardi, who was involved in that incident with Digby just a few laps ago. But Berardi staying to the bottom of the track, well out of the way for these cars. Definitely good to see there. There's Tim Masters. Really not able to do much in this race so far, but is running in solidly in the top 5. Started 6th, so he's up a spot from where he started, and kind of just having a nice clean race so far. Probably not really wishing to push his luck so far just yet, because this is quite a long race for Richmond. On board here with Doug McCollum, who started in 13th, not really able to make ground. I'm not sure why, because Doug is a very good racer himself. He usually is one of the first to start making moves, but then again, he might just be saving his stuff or whatever. He's only up 1 spot from where he started, so you gotta think he might not be comfortable with the track or whatever. But either way, just not the typical race we see from him. But up here at the front, that lead that I was talking about just a moment ago is evaporated, because Dave Wilson has caught Tanner Sharp. That lead is about down to 2 seconds. You can see it there on Tanner's bumper. And definitely is going to be hounding him just a bit. Dave Wilson's going to be wanting to get back to the lead, which he only held for a few laps of this race so far. But you have a couple of lap cars in front of Tanner that might play into it. It's Fernando Matos and Doug McCollum, who I was just talking about just a moment ago. And those 2 drivers are in their own battles, so they have no obligation to move over for the leaders. So it's going to be about who gets through them as better between Sharp and Wilson. And they are about to go side by side in front of the leaders, so definitely going to be interesting to see how they play into that. But you see right there, Doug McCollum making the move on Fernando Matos for the 11th spot on track. And now they're under fire from the leader. That's Tanner Sharp, who we're on board with. And they're going to stay well out of the way, up the track, let Tanner go on the bottom side, so good on them. Looks like Dave Wilson might have been held up a little bit by those 2 cars, as he has fallen off just a bit from where he was, but not really too bad right there. Very close there through turn 2, but Fernando does stay out of the way of Dave Wilson. Says, you go on by, I'll let you go try to chase the leader. But here's a battle on track. That's Nate Catilla and Billy Wise going at it for the 8th spot. Ooh, very close there in turn number 3, but something that we will see a lot of tonight, because turn 3 is a very tight corner, relatively. but Billy Wise holds on to that spot for the time being. Nate Catillo actually has a bit of damage on that car. I'm not sure where that came from, but the rear end is a little bit askew. Not going to hurt you here because this rear end is not super important here. Kyle Zimmer about 2.5 seconds behind the leader Tanner Sharp, so trying to get around Fernando Matos. Looks like he will do that successfully. Fernando stays well high in turn 3 and 4. Let's Kyle Zimmer go. Have a pit stop right there. That's Brian Lowhead on pit road. Well, quite early for that, but might be seeing some strategy here. I don't think tire is going to be too important, but we'll definitely have to see if he is going to play some strategy or what he does, because I don't really think any of the other drivers are going to be wishing to come on pit road just yet. But there's AJ Digby, your 4th place starter. Got up to the lead for a little bit, but ooh, Tanner, what happened to him? There is damage on that car and he's slow, so definitely something that is not great. Probably off turn number 2. Looks like he got out of the groove a little bit, wasn't able to get to the bottom there, and flew into the wall, and really could have been a lot worse than it was, but definitely he has damage on both sides of that car. See it from the from where we're sitting right now. The front fenders are both pushed in, so a bit of a modified look in there, but that was able to give Dave Wilson the lead of the race back to him. And Tanner's going to have to hold on because that car is not going to be as fast as it was before that contact, definitely with all that damage. The front end actually quite a bit narrower than it was. You can see the tires sticking out. It's not what you want on this type of racetrack at all, but either way, he's lucky that he didn't nose it into the wall or something like that. Ooh, very close there with Berardi. Berardi going 2 laps down. There's Tim Masters. Looked like, ooh, there was some contact there with Alan Capers. Alan Capers is on a mission. He's up to the 5th spot from starting in 14th. Getting around Masters, but a little bit of a push and a shove there. This is short track racing. You have to remember that. So that's going to happen every now and again. But that is by far your biggest mover of the race. Still, he's up 9 spots from where he started. Having a very good run in that machine right now. See if he can catch AJ Digby, who is about 5 seconds ahead of him on the racetrack. So not insignificant, but not something that can't happen either. He is running about 10th quicker than Digby, so battle for second brewing up here with Kyle Zimmer and Tanner Sharp. I have to imagine that Kyle Zimmer is going to be able to get around Tanner with as much damage as on that machine. This is kind of allowing Dave Wilson to extend his lead. There's Kyle Zimmer looking. Ooh, Tanner says, no, I'm not going to let you have that spot. Kind of chops off Kyle Zimmer's nose. So might not be too happy about that, but nothing that Tanner did wrong there. Just protecting his position, which he has every right to do. But Tanner is doing a good job holding on to that car with as much damage as it does have. Really, I thought he would have been a lot slower than he is, but he's doing a pretty good job. A little bit, or quite a bit slower than Wilson, about 2/10 per lap. So really just has to hang on until the pit stops. And ooh, it's in the wall there off 4. Ran out of room. That's going to allow Kyle to get around him. So that battle dead and over with just as soon as it started. That's not going to help Tanner's handling any more, get more damage on that machine, but he's just going to have to hang on until the pit stops. And if I were him, there's a car on pit road there. That's the number 1 of Thomas Wise, who was a few laps down, so not having the night he wants to have so far. But there is Kyle Zimmer, who did go around Tanner for that second spot. See if he can run down Dave Wilson. Is running a couple tenths quicker than Dave Wilson as of the last lap. So I'm not sure if that was due to traffic or if Kyle was able to actually get around Tanner and kind of stretch his legs a little bit. But we'll definitely have to wait and see, look at that gap, because it's about 2.5 seconds right now. Something that can definitely be erased in really not that long, if Dave has a few particularly bad laps, but last time Dave did run a 22.3 and Kyle was a 22.26, so just a little bit quicker, and the gap definitely going in that direction. But we are about a quarter of the way through this race so far, and definitely we have seen some action, some pushing and shoving, and it might have been some tempers being thrown a little bit, but definitely something we have to expect here. But really not any battles on the track right now. The closest I see looks to be not a battle for position, but definitely looking like this is a bit of a green flag run race for the time being. Alan Capers, who's running in 5th still, so actually has caught AJ Digby a little bit. So definitely doing what he needs to get to that 4th spot and beyond. Very good run for him so far. I can't really. This is not an easy track to pass on. Even though it is a short track, it is quite a bit difficult to do that because it is a fast short track. So you can't just knock people out of the way. You know, there will be contact here and there because it'll potentially wreck you and wreck the other car. But you know, definitely something that is always aware in the driver's mind at this racetrack. Seeing a lot of people kind of miss the groove through turn number 2. It looks like that turn is a little bit slick. That is kind of Calamity Corner at this racetrack. You see that in real life too. A lot of issues there through that corner, particularly just because of how it kind of narrows up, especially with the safe barrier there sticking out a little bit. It definitely not much room for error there, but either way. Here's a battle for the 6th. That's Nate Catilla and Christopher Burge going at it. Nate on that bottom side, so I have to assume he might get the advantage on Chris. Indeed, he does through turn number 3 and 4. So move him up to the 6th. Christopher Burge down a couple spots from where he started, but still a pretty good run. You can see a little bit of damage on both of those cars. So they both got in the wall at least once so far in this race. And right there, as I was saying, Nate Catilla hits it pretty hard, and that's going to allow Christopher Burge to get the run through or into turn number 3 and look on Nate. So we move him back to where he was before Nate passed him. And so definitely both of those cars have pretty banged up right sides for the time being. Back here at the front, there's Dave Wilson, who has kind of maintained the lead. It's down to 2.3 seconds from 2.5, but that's really not much. There's Tim Masters going a lap down. We saw him solidly up in the top 5 earlier. Got him some trouble and back down to 8th spot and now a lap down. So not where he wants to be running, but either way, if we do get a caution, he would be the lucky dog, as long as Dave Wilson does not lap the next car in his line, which would be his, or it would be Nate Catilla in the battle we saw just a little bit. And that battle is going into turn 1 right now, and Dave Wilson is going to turn 1 just a few seconds after that, so not long for them to be lapped by our leader. So he is putting on a pretty torrid pace as far as lapping cars go, because we do have only 7 cars on the lead lap for the time being. That battle for the 6th place still not going anywhere. Chris Burge still kind of hounding on the back of Nate Catilla there. Nate's running a little bit higher in turns 3 and 4. Might be some contact there. I don't think there really was, but it was very close, and if there was contact, that probably would have sent the 4 machine spinning out of the way. But Chris is going to run that extremely, contact there out of turn 2. Chris ran that extremely low line through 1 and 2, was not able to arc the corner because Nate was there, but off turn 2, he did not have a good angle and kind of just pulled up in front of Catilla there and kind of chopped him off. So maybe Nate's not going to be too happy about that, but either way, both of those cars still going and no damage on either one of them. But we're working lap number 60 here. We're about to be working lap 60, so I'm going to have to assume that these drivers are probably going to try to stretch it out to about halfway. There's Tom Johnson on pit road. He's about 2 laps down right now, so you got to think that if these drivers can make it to lap 83, which would be halfway, that's probably what they're going to try to do. We have seen a couple drivers on pit road before that, so maybe trying to play a 2-stopper or so, but I'm not sure of the actual fuel number. I think we might be able to run 283, so I think that might be what most of these drivers are thinking of. There's Chris Burge. He's actually been able to gap that number 4 of Catilla a bit. Catilla did go a lap down to our leader Dave Wilson. Dave Wilson just right on the back bumper of Chris Roberge now, so that would leave only 5 cars on the lead lap. Pretty surprising, but then again, not really, because Richmond is not a huge track, and Dave Wilson is he is very fast here, definitely for the time being. And I'd have to assume that Chris is going to go a lap down in just a moment. I don't think he'll give too much of a fit to his teammate. There's Alan Capers, who is the next car to go a lap down. He's come off turn number 4 right now across the start-finish line. The leader is into turn 1 right now, so he's about a corner ahead of Dave Wilson, our leader, who is going by Chris Roberge right now. Chris actually gets in the wall just a little bit. That slows down his momentum into turn 3, but kind of just gives his teammate a break, and so moves him to the first car 1 lap down. Really not too many battles on track right now. I don't actually see really any. It looks like these drivers are kind of just settling in for the time being. Probably just going to start making laps until the pit stop window comes to them, whenever that does. Said it might be halfway, which would be lap 83, or it might be before that, because I don't really know the fuel number, but it's kind of irrelevant, because maybe they... Ooh, we have had a wreck on turn 1 almost. Fernando Matos and Thomas Wise got into it. I saw the 17 sliding, was able to save it, so... Ooh, who's that? That's is that Alan Capers? No, I don't think that was Capers. I think it was Lowhead off turn number 2. Had some trouble there, but able to collect it up and not cause a caution. Yeah, see, just got to the wall there. Was able to save it because of that little extra runoff. Really, the apron on the backstretch, but no harm, no foul. Just a little bit of right side damage on that machine. Ooh, there's a hornet's nest here. Ooh, that's right in front of Kyle Zimmer. The number 99 of Johnny Berardi got in the wall, and Kyle Zimmer had to kind of duck and weave around him. He's actually catching the leader, Dave Wilson, at a pretty substantial rate, or was until that happened, because he was held up quite a bit by that proceeding in front of him. He was up to about 1.6 seconds behind Wilson and lost really a lot of time. He's down to 2.5 now, so that really hurt his chances to catch that 20 car. You see he's right behind Nate Catilla in that number 4, so going to be getting around him pretty quick, but Dave Wilson is not really pushing it through traffic as well. He's being very smooth, and he knows that he's got a little bit of time to play with Kyle Zimmer, and a lot of time to play with behind him to Tanner Sharp, so not too much hassle on his part just yet. But about 10 laps away from halfway in this race. There is no halfway bonus point, so we just race straight through. No stages, anything like that. So just a straight race like they used to do in NASCAR in the old days, which I kind of prefer myself, but good to see the strategy is going to be coming into play here pretty soon. I think everybody's just kind of settled in and kind of clocking off laps for the time being. Really no battles to speak of. first side-by-side battle on the track is for Kyle's able to get around the lap car of Nate Catilla, and he does successfully. So he's gonna see if he can chop that lead down like he was before the issues he got into. There's AJ Digby right in front of Thomas Wise, who is 7 laps down right now. Thomas Wise has made several pit stops, so I'm not sure what that was for, but either way, not the way he's wanted his night to go, but he is still out there running, and that's always good to see. Probably just getting some experience on this track. Might not be too experienced here. Ooh, we have a caution on the racetrack. It's Johnny Berardi. Looks like he got in trouble off turn 2. Have to get a replay to see exactly what happened, but definitely that is going to change this race quite a bit. See there, Johnny Berardi's on the low side of the track. That's Thomas Wise to his outside, and ooh, looks like Wise just got into the wall a little bit and bounced off into Berardi. Nothing he could do there. So yeah, we were talking about how turn 2 is Calamity Corner. Just nose it into that inside wall. That's something you see. That's kind of the typical Richmond wreck right there. Just kind of bouncing off the outside wall into someone else. So pace car going to come out here, and we're going to get some pit stops underway. But while these drivers do their pit stops, we're going to take a short break real quick and be back for the restart. All right, welcome back here to Richmond International Raceway, or Richmond Raceway, whatever they call it now. We're about to get set going back green here for working our first caution of the night, lap 81 of 166, so just about halfway. Call it a halfway break, if you will, but let's reset your top 5 here real quick. Dave Wilson did win the race off pit road. Kyle Zimmer second, Tanner Sharp third, Digby fourth, and Alan Capers fifth. So really no change there from before the pit stops. That was exactly how they all came in. But we're going to reset the race to say pace car is going to pull off onto pit road here, and we'll see what this restart brings, because we have seen this has been a very clean race so far. Dave Wilson on the gas, Kyle Zimmer on the gas, everyone else on the gas as well. Going to be racing into turn 1. Dave Wilson does clear everyone behind him by about a car length and a half, and here comes Tanner Sharp on the inside line. He gets the better run through 1 and 2 than Kyle Zimmer, because he's going to move up into that second spot behind race leader Dave Wilson. We have a battle for the 4th spot between Capers and Digby. Digby able to hold Capers off on that higher line, but definitely Capers, we were talking about him earlier, started in 14th spot up to 5th looking for 4th. So definitely a great run, but Capers himself was almost under fire from Chris Roberge, who is a lap down. We only have 7 cars in the lead lap. One of those, Doug McCollum, did take the wave round, so he did not hit on that last round of pit stops. So Capers going to let that 98 machine by him up here closer to the front. Still single file for these first 4 spots. So the lead for Dave Wilson over Tanner Sharp, about 0.3 of a second, plus or minus a couple hundredths. And definitely has shown that he is very fast out here tonight. Was able to put a lot of cars a lap down and hold that gap under the green flag for those 80 or so laps that we did go green flag. But here comes Tanner Sharp. He got a great run through turn number 4. He's going to look on under Wilson here into turn 1, see if he can use that low line to his advantage. Dave Wilson not giving it up easily, so he's going to hold tight off of turn 2, but I think Tanner might get the advantage here through turn 3. Very close there, but just not able to clear him just yet. But indeed he does on the late exit of 4, and now Wilson is under fire from Zimmer. We saw Zimmer actually be very fast on that long run too. Was probably a little bit quicker, just did not get through traffic as well as Dave Wilson was able to. He actually did close that gap a little bit, and AJ Digby is right there in this battle. So we kind of saw this at the beginning part of the race. These 4 cars very close to each other before they started running into traffic, and just kind of the tires start burning off. But definitely we're seeing a rematch of what we saw already. Wilson looks like he's very good into turn. Oh, gives Tanner a bump through turns 3 and 4. Looks like he's very good on the brakes into 3, but just he's rolling the center very well. But it looks like Tanner not able to do that actually hurt Wilson more than it did Tanner. Tanner was able to kind of survive that bump and drive away, but Wilson almost was under fire from Zimmer because of that. The fact that he had to check up for that 3 car, but either way, it is all good on that front. Nobody in trouble as of yet, so definitely these 4 cars still going at it very hard. We are past halfway, so it is kind of go time, and all of these drivers know they have to go now. Kyle Zimmer looks like he's trying to use that higher line a little bit, because he knows that he's not going to get around Dave Wilson unless he does something different, but that did give a door opening to AJ Digby, but Kyle is able to hold him off into turn 1. So still single file up here for these 4 cars. Not much to speak of for that. The Alan Capers is about 3 seconds behind that battle, kind of just running his own pace, and 5th. Still a great run for him. But if these 4 cars somehow get into trouble, he might be the benefactor of that very well. But it looks like that, see, these 4 cars are about equidistant for the time being. Really kind of just early on the run, got to wait for the tires to kind of wear a little bit, because this track is not necessarily harsh on tires. It really is quite easy on tires compared to a lot of tracks. So really you do get quite a bit of life from them, so you really can really have to kind of wait for, Thomas Wise involved really hard there up in turn 1. Very slow, but able to keep it going. Saw him kind of bouncing off and throwing sparks everywhere. These drivers about to get into traffic. There's Brian Lowhead right in front of the leader, Tanner Sharp, as well as Johnny Berardi and Doug McCollum. Doug McCollum has not pitted yet in this race. I have to wonder if he's going to have a fuel issue, but definitely those tires are well past their use-by date, even with the track not being super abrasive on them. They still are 95 laps better than... Ooh! Contact there! Kyle Zimmer around, and what happened there? But Tanner Sharp, Kyle Zimmer both got involved in a lap car incident, and that did just wipe out your two runners in the race. Or two of your three. See what happened here on the replay. It looks like they just wrong place, wrong time. There was some race in there with the lap cars of Berardi and McCollum, and McCollum looks like he got turned into. But really unfortunate for Tanner and Kyle Zimmer there, because they were the big losers out of that mess, and that does move Dave Wilson up to the lead. The seas just kind of parted for him. Just kind of said, "Thank you very much. I will take the lead," and so. It's a pretty crazy development right there. Have two of your top three runners kind of taken out of in that way. But either way, they will get their cars repaired up and ready to go. We have 4 fast pairs in this league. Make sure that things like that don't end up ending people's races. So definitely going to probably see more green flag pit stops here, especially with, or certainly with Tanner Sharp and Kyle Zimmer. And I see, oh, we have a incident on the track. Tom Johnson in the inside wall while these guys are pitting. Have to go back and watch that after the pit stops, but not sure what happened there, because that is not something you typically see here. We'll watch it right now. Looks like not sure if there was a disagreement there or what, but it looks like Tom just kind of just turned into Chris Roberge there. Or was a checkup incident there, so probably no words to be said there, just a bit of a bad luck incident, but either way, not something you want to see under caution. But either way, we are done with our green flag pit stops, excuse me, and Dave Wilson did win the race off pit road, followed by Digby, Zimmer, and Sharp, so really not too bad for those two drivers involved in the wreck. They only lost 2 spots or so. But want to see if we can get one more lap of pace in here, if we can talk to one of these top 4 drivers, because this has been a pretty good race. I don't want to talk to them if we are gonna be going green here in just a moment. See if the pace car lights do go off, and indeed they do not. So I'm gonna pull AJ Digby in here for just a quick moment.
That's fair.
Sorry, AJ.
You're good.
Camera in the booth. We got a copy?
Yep.
Yeah, we just want to have a quick word with you before you get going green here. We've seen you kind of ran top 4 all race consistently. What are you going to do to get up there and challenge that number 20 in front of you?
Oh, well, I had a really good start of the race. Was leading for a while and then just got caught in lap traffic and got hit off the wall from Berardi. But and then in that run after the pit stop there, after I got all my damage fixed and everything, I was just kind of biding my time in 4th. Didn't want to rush it, thinking in case there's an 80-lap green flag run, I want to have more tire at the end, both between the damage and losing tire in the first run didn't help me at all. So I was just trying to conserve tire, but we'll see. We got 4 really fast guys up here up front, and then a couple other guys who I know just got the wave round or back onto the lead lap that could be contenders too. So we got a fast car though. I feel really good, at least the podium hopefully. So just got to keep it clean, got to stay out of trouble, and hope that we can dodge wrecks coming up. So.
All right, AJ, well, thank you very much for talking to us. Go get them, and we'll move you back to your channel.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's AJ Digby. We know his strategy for the rest of this race, and see what comes out of that. But the rest of the drivers lined up, double file, ready to go. Flagman has the green flag in his hand, ready to throw it out there, and indeed he does. Looks like AJ got a pretty good restart, holding with Dave Wilson, holding that inside line better than we've seen most people do. And we'll see what he can do through turns 1 and 2, but it looks like that bottom line still the place to be. He's actually going to be under fire from Kyle Zimmer. Kyle gets that good run off turn number 2, but here comes Tanner Sharp looking 3 wide. That's not going to work, and it, oh my God, that was so close, but that did boot the 13 of Capers out of the way. That probably wasn't the move that Tanner needed to make there, but either way, he did try to make it, and it wasn't a wreck, but Alan Capers probably not going to be too happy about it. Definitely a very aggressive move, but he's going to look on AJ Digby here into turn number 3, not able to have the momentum to do anything with it. So AJ holding tough on, or holding that 3rd spot away from Tanner Sharp. Kyle Zimmer has moved up to 2nd, so we saw how fast he was behind Dave Wilson early on in this race, and gets a good run off turn number 2. Let's see if he can make the move into 3. Not enough of a run though. It doesn't have a nose on Wilson just yet, but we do have a caution on the racetrack again. I'm not sure where it is. It's like it's might have been in turn 4. See a couple cars slow off there. We'll have a replay here to see exactly what happened. Tim Masters right behind Tom Johnson. Looks like some contact error through turn 4. Not exactly sure what happened there. We didn't really see the cause of the incident, but either way, we are on the caution and have some strategy being played here at the front, because your leader Dave Wilson has stayed out along with AJ Digby, but Tanner Sharp and Kyle Zimmer have both elected to come down pit road, so a very interesting development there. We know that tires aren't everything at this track, but definitely having fresh tires never hurts, so have to see how that plays into this race. We do have about 60 laps to go here, which is not a small amount of laps, but it's also not a lot, so really, there's not that many cars on the lead lap either, because we should have about 9 this time with the lucky dog. I do believe that might be Chris Roberge if he wasn't involved in the caution, whatever happened. But gotta think that some of those drivers are gonna come down pit road as well. But definitely interesting to see that strategy being played at this part of the race. I can't say whether or not I would have done it or not, because I don't honestly know, but either way they did do it, and we'll have to see what comes of that. But I want to give a quick shout out to Wesley Lee in the chat. You're the only chatter right now. I do appreciate when everyone comes out to kind of keep us company in the chat. It's always cool to read what you guys have to say. And Wesley is an Alan Capers fan. He said, "Go Capers number 13. Howdy everyone. Hope you're enjoying the show here tonight, Wesley." I certainly am up here. Always a good pleasure to watch racing at this track, and definitely quite a good one tonight for the time being. But just kind of let these pace laps kind of go through, and I think Kyle Zimmer is actually going to come out in 3rd spot with fresh tires. So really you have to think that that was a good move on his part, because he was 2nd before that, and we've seen that starting on the inside is really the place to be on these restarts. So he's going to be starting in a bit of a better spot with fresh tires. So definitely, I think that that is going to play well into his favor, as well as Tanner Sharp. He's starting right next to Kyle, but those 2 drivers have fresher tires than the 2 in front of them. That being Dave Wilson and AJ Digby. So definitely gonna have to see how that plays to later in this race, and definitely this last half of it's going to be very much interesting. But the pace car lights are turned off, I do believe. So we're going to be doubling up, getting ready to go green here again we're working our 3rd caution of the night. Actually, still don't know what happened. Kind of clueless up here, at least I am, but either way, the caution was thrown for something, and whatever it was, it might have involved Doug Baum, because he's sitting on pit road 11 laps down, and looks like his night might be over with, because he's not looking like he's coming back on the track anytime soon. So definitely that would be a shame if that were the case. But we do have racing left yet in this event. Pace car making that hard left onto pit road again. All these drivers getting ready to stomp on that loud pedal and get going again. Ooh, look at that start from Dave Wilson. He absolutely leaves everyone in the dust, and that was a absolutely blinding restart for him. He's going to have about a car length or two advantage through turn 1 and 2 from AJ Digby. Looks like Kyle Zimmer almost got in the wall. Tanner Sharp did get in the wall. So Tanner, not what he needs with those fresh tires, but he still has them, and see if he can do anything with them, as long as that, or as well as that driver in front of him, Kyle Zimmer. But AJ Digby looks like he is going to be hounding the back of Dave Wilson here in just a short moment. He is pretty quick in his own right. See if he can do something with. He's very good on that bottom side of 3 and 4. Gets a very good run. You see him pull up to the back bumper of Wilson there. Very close into turn 1. See what he can do here. He looks like he's backing off early into turn 1 and kind of keeping his car on the bottom better than Wilson just a little bit. And we've seen how good Wilson is on the brakes in turns 3 and 4. It's like they are about equal on that end of the speedway, but I think Digby is using that easy in, fast out approach in 1 and 2 very well. Actually, I think they ran about the same line there through 1 and 2. I think Wilson is a very adaptive driver. He's able to see what Digby is doing in his mirror, kind of emulating him, which is pretty cool to watch. But look at this run that Digby gets out of turn 4, not really able to do anything with it. Kind of just has to go high a little bit, see if he can kind of swing his corner there. Ooh, almost in contact there. Got a very good run to the center, just not able to do anything with it because he would have bumped the 20 and possibly turned him. But definitely always cool to see how different philosophies work at this racetrack. This is one of the tracks where driving styles really do matter. You can drive this track a few different ways and have it be successful, and you definitely see it on play here. You see the different lines being used from these two drivers as well as the two behind them. Now, Nate Catilla, who was a lap down a few laps ago, is right at the end of this. He's running in 5th spot, right behind Tanner Sharp. So it's kind of showing he's not out of the battle just yet. Digby looks like he's fallen off the back of Wilson just a little bit. Might be under fire from that 25 of Zimmer off of turn number 2. And off turn number 4, Digby got in the wall a little bit, and here comes Kyle Zimmer. Battle for 2nd place. Kyle on that bottom side of the racetrack, but Digby saying, no, I'm not going to let you have it that easily. But Kyle Zimmer gets the great run off 2, and I think he might clear him into turn 3. Tanner Sharp looking to follow Zimmer through by that 14 of Digby, and it's like that Digby's he's not letting it go easily, but might be a losing battle at this point. Indeed, Kyle Zimmer does get by Digby, and here comes Tanner Sharp as well. So see if Zimmer can show that speed we have seen from him all night and do something with it. We've seen him be a little bit faster than 20, just really not able to do anything so far in this race, but Digby was able to hold off that 3 of Sharp for the time being. Sharp does have that right side damage. It's actually pretty significant looking at it from my perspective. A couple of gaps that shouldn't be there. So I didn't think he got the wall that hard, but obviously he did quite a bit harder than I thought he might have. The last lap, it looks like Kyle Zimmer was about a 10th and a half quicker than Dave Wilson. You have to wonder if Dave might be saving tires or just kind of pacing himself at this point. Battle for the 3rd spot still raging on between Digby and Sharp. Sharp on the bottom side into turn 1. He's got the preferred groove. See if he can roll that corner a little bit better. I think he might. So see what kind of run he gets off turn number 2. Digby is able to roll that high side pretty well. It's just that the low side is a little bit better. But definitely some good racing here between these two. Still Looks like the Tanner Sharp did get the advantage of Digby, so move him up into third for good. And Kyle Zimmer is definitely chopping away at that lead of Dave Wilson a little bit. He is just a little bit quicker every lap than Dave Wilson. Actually, that last lap was about a tenth and a half, and Wilson is going to have to start negotiating some lap traffic in just a moment. He's got Fernando Matos and Johnny Berardi in front of him. See how they get through traffic. We did see him get through traffic very well early on this race when he was leading, and indeed Fernando does give him the bottom side in turn 1 and lets him by pretty much without an issue there. But Fernando Matos did kind of put the low side away from Kyle Zimmer in turn 3, so I might have held him up just a little bit, but really he's not doing anything wrong on his regard. It's like Digby's kind of fallen off the back of Tanner Sharp just a little bit in the wall, throwing some sparks up and under fire from Nate Catilla, so Nate Catilla going to be very close there. Very close between Catilla and very close between Sharp and Matos. Oh, they're in the wall. I'm not sure what happened there, but definitely those two drivers in the wall. And it looks like Sharp's not happy with Fernando because he kind of just drove up into him in turn 2. And there's our 4th caution of the night. That is something that kind of happened for about half a lap. I don't want to kind of point any fingers or anything, but it looks like there was some tempers being thrown there, and definitely I don't think Tanner was too happy with whatever Fernando did, because he kind of drove to him in turn 1 and spun him out. See the replay there, just like I said, not going to try to point any fingers here, but definitely that was not so much of an accident, I don't believe, because it looks like that Tanner did just kind of turn him in turn 1. So definitely have to wait and see how the race control deems that accident. But either way, we are on pit road again up here at the front. All the leaders coming down. It looks like those 2 tires, or those 4 tires for Zimmer and Sharp might be because Tanner did get into the wall a little bit, but it did help Kyle a little bit. He was a little bit quicker than Dave Wilson before that caution, just not able to close the gap in the time allotted. But we'll see what happens here on these pit stops. Looks like everybody was in pretty cleanly. Dave Wilson gets off first. The cone suffering an unfortunate death again, as it does every single week, and Tanner Sharp gets off 2nd place. Beats both Kyle Zimmer and Digby off, as well as Nate Catilla, who is running in 5th. So good run for Nate Catilla. We haven't talked about him too much this race. Ran most of this race a lap down, went down a lap in that first green flag run, but was able to get it back and running solidly in the top 5. And it looks like really not much to speak of under caution. Kind of just waiting for these cars to make the laps pace, but getting down to the end of this race, not any laps to go, so it's kind of going to be a bit of a shootout here at the end. About 35 or so laps to go when we go green, so really I don't think, definitely fuel is not an issue anymore, and tires probably not either, because 35 laps here on the tires is not a whole heck of a lot. Nice little Saturday night shortback showdown on Wednesday night, on Wednesday night, because that's how we do things here. We'll see if Tanner can do anything with Dave Wilson on this restart. Got his car fixed up from the last incident and from the wall contact he had. And he's been very good on the restarts, very aggressive as well. So I think that he's probably going to be wanting to get that lead as soon as he can, because he knows that after the first lap, it's a bit harder to pass than it is on that first lap after the restart. Pace car lights are out, so we're going to get these wave rounds around back to the end of the field. Brian Lowhead, Fernando Matos, and Johnny Berardi all taking the wave around. We're going to double them up and get set to go green here once again. Alright, well, we got the pace car pulling that hard left onto pit road. Field is doubled up. Field in the hands of Dave Wilson with Tanner Sharp on his outside. Tanner gets a great restart. Is able to actually hold very well with Dave Wilson. We'll see what happens through turn one. We've seen that low side be a lot better. Tanner Sharp gets out of the groove a little bit, but is able to get the good run off. Look at that run he got. And he's going to pull right up to the back bumper of Wilson. I thought he might have tried to make a move there, but not enough momentum. And he's able to hold off Kyle Zimmer and Digby, but here comes Digby on the outside of Zimmer. Alec Capers and Nate Cantilla going at it a little bit behind them. That's for the 5th spot, so a lot of racing all over the field. So that's your first side-by-side battle on the track. Capers and Cantilla. Ooh, here comes Tim Masters on that. He was able to drive around Nate Cantilla, but not able to get around Capers. Capers made a pretty bonsai move into turn 3 and slid up the track a little bit. Was able to open the door for that move from Tim Masters. But a great move on his part, but see if he can hold off Nate Cantilla into turn 3. Nate's looking on the inside, but not enough of a run. Here comes Tanner Sharp at the front. There's a battle for the lead. He's gotten under Dave Wilson. I don't think he has the run into turn 1. Indeed, he does, actually. Ooh, contact! Both leaders are around, and looks like the top, ooh, my God, top 4 all collected in this wreck in some regard. Wow, we'll have to see what happened there on the replay, but that just wiped out most of your top 5. See on the replay there did make a dive into turn 1, and that did there's Capers, there's Digby involved, Christopher Burge, Johnny Berardi able to get through it. Brian Lowhead not able to stop in time. Neither was Thomas Wise. The big winner in that incident is going to be Kyle Zimmer, because he kind of just sees parted for him. Wow, Nate was able to get through it as well. That's a crazy wreck. That's not something to see at Richmond a whole heck of a lot, but either way, it just did, and that really is going to change this race up a lot. Oh, but Kyle Zimmer did get some damage on that front end, actually quite a significant amount, so he was involved. But it looks like all of our leaders are coming down pit road regardless, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue for Kyle. He has that first pit stall being the pole sitter, and they're going to go ahead and fix his car up and get it repaired, as well as everyone else involved in that wreck. So see if we can talk to one of those drivers involved in the wreck after they get their pit stops all done and situated. So that was a pretty crazy thing to happen there. Kyle Zimmer first off pit road, followed by Tim Masters and Nate Cantilla. 2 drivers who we haven't mentioned a whole lot tonight, but they are going to be coming out running 2nd and 3rd on this restart. So thanks to that wreck, this race has taken a big shakeup for most of these top 5. Want to get a word here with Tim Masters, so we'll see if we can talk to him before they get going back to green. Tim Masters, Ken Rich up there in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Probably not as well as you are, though, because C's kind of just open for you, and you got up to 2nd place.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Either way,
I was like, how important is aerodynamics here? Because my hood was crunched in after that accident.
Yeah, either way, you got the track position now. Can you stay up there and maybe challenge for this win?
Yeah, I think I've got like maybe a 4th, 5th place car. I haven't really been pushing it yet. I ain't got nothing for Dave Wilson, man. If he gets back up front, that dude is fast, especially in the long run.
Yeah, he is very fast. You know, one thing I want to kind of ask you before we get back going green here.
Sure.
We've seen a lot of trouble off turn number 2. Are you kind of having any issues of yourself through that corner?
Yeah, definitely. You really got to get off of that throttle before you get into that turn. And if you don't, then it's really hard to not hit the wall when you're coming out of it.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you talking to us, and we're going to let you get back to going green here in just a few laps or so. So go out there and get them. Good luck the rest of those races.
Cool beans, man. Thanks.
Well, that's Alan Capers. That's Tim Masters. I was looking at Alan Capers a few cars behind. That was Tim Masters, your second place runner now to that wreck. Very good luck on his part, but either way, cool to see the race was shaken up that much. But pace car lights are off now, and we're gonna go ahead and double them up. Your leader is actually going to be Billy Wise, who did stay out, as well as Alan Capers. So first car on tires is going to be Kyle Zimmer in third spot, and then back from him. So it's going to be an interesting restart this one. See what those tires do. We're going to have different strategies up here for about 36 laps to go, 35 laps to go, 37 to go maybe. Can't do my numbers. We've always have troubles up here with numbers in the booth, but that's not going to change anytime soon, I don't believe. The pace car is off, field in the hands of Billy Wise. First laps he's led tonight. See if he can hold that track position. On the gas he goes. A little bit of damage on that rear end, but shouldn't slow him down too terribly much. There's Alan Capers, who was able to hold on that quarter panel, but that bottom side is the preferred groove on this restart. We've seen that all night. There's Kyle Zimmer getting by Capers. There's Nate Catilla looking to get by Capers, not able to do anything with it. Ooh, contact! Capers ran into the back of by Catilla, and I think that's going to bring out the caution again. No, it doesn't. Actually, everybody keeps it straight, so wow. Can't even believe that, but definitely contact between Catilla and Capers. Kind of got booted out of the way there, and that did give, here's a replay there, you see it again. That actually did stack up the field quite a bit. I'm not surprised that nobody was able to actually spin the car around completely there, but that did give Kyle Zimmer the lead. He was able to get around Billy Wise, so he's probably going to pull away just because of those fresher tires. But Billy Wise actually holding pretty steady, not allowing Kyle to get away. So a great run so far on his part, with a little bit of damage on his car and those older tires. And Nate Catilla holding steady as well. So your top 5 right now: Zimmer, Billy Wise, Nate Catilla, Chris Verge, and Tanner Sharp. Really not the top 5 that we have kind of grown accustomed to this night. Your 4 fastest cars really have all been in trouble, and that definitely has kind of thrown a wrench into this race at this point. But definitely interesting development at this point. But battle for the 4th spot between Tanner Sharp and Chris Reberge. Tanner looks like he's going to get around Reberge easily there into turn 3 out of turn 4. Going to set his sights on Nate Catilla. You got to think Tanner is a little bit probably frustrated in that car a little bit. He's been involved in some accidents tonight, and might have saw some frustration being taken out on the 17 a few cautions ago. But either way, he is on a mission to get around the 2 cars in front of him. He knows that they are on older tires. Excuse me, the 32 is on older tires, but Nate Catilla is not. He's on the same tires. Nate Catilla drives into turn 2, very high up the track, almost into Tanner Sharp. Tanner's going to take it 3 wide into 3. We'll have to see if this works. I don't think it will. And Tanner wisely backs off out of it, because that probably would have been a caution there. Ooh, Nate Catilla loose off 4. He's in the grass on the little access road next to the pit wall. But we have seen that driver right there make many incredible saves this season. Another good one tonight. Nate Catilla is a wheelman, no doubt about that. Probably when the trophy trucks come to iRacing, I'd watch for him to be really good. He's very good at off-roading. Great save by him, great wheel work, and able to get going again. But did lose him a lot of track position, but he is still going in the race. But that did move. That did move Tanner Sharp up to second place. He was up, able to get around Billy Wise, so he's going to set his sights on catching that 25 of Kyle Zimmer. One driver I want to kind of go back and look at is Dave Wilson. He's behind Chris Burge in 5th spot right now. Kind of got stacked up in that little incident off 4, lost a lot of time, but is still fast nonetheless. And right behind him is AJ Digby in the same boat as Wilson as well. So we'll have to see if those two drivers can kind of make their way back up. We don't have a lot of time left in this race, so definitely going to be interesting to see. Actually, only about 17 laps to go, I believe, or thereabouts. So really not a lot of time at all. The gap from Kyle Zimmer to Tanner Sharp is about 2.2 seconds. That is not an easy task for him to take on, but either way, the battle for 3rd behind Tanner Sharp is heating up. Chris Burge and Billy Wise going at it. Billy Wise on that high side, Chris Burge on that bottom side. Chris using those brakes to his advantage and kind of going to take the spot easily into turn 3, but he gets in the wall off 4 a little bit. See if Billy Wise can come back on him. I don't believe he can. He has a little bit older tires, but doing very good on them in this stage of the race. He's going to be under fire from Wilson here in just a moment, I believe. Dave Wilson going to be looking to get around Billy Wise. That's going to be for the 4th spot. I believe the battle for is going to be, yes, right there it is. Dave Wilson around the outside of turns 1 and 2. Going to make it look easy and get around Billy Wise, move him up to 4th. He's got his teammate in front of him now. That's Christopher Burge in the 3rd spot. I think he might get around him pretty easily as well and set his sights on that 3 car. But the driver who is in the hot seat right now, or in the catbird seat, is that 25 of Kyle Zimmer, way at the front there. You see him on your screen right now. He's got about 2.5 seconds on Tanner Sharp with about 11 laps to go, coming to 10 to go this time by. So not a lot of time left in this race. He's just got to keep it smooth and steady, and he probably will get his, I believe would be his first win of the B car series. Round at Thomas Wise there. New 3rd place driver, that's Dave Wilson there, getting around his teammate Chris Burge. So he's gonna try to set his sights on Tanner Sharp in front of him. About 1.5 seconds down the road for that battle. Behind Chris Burge. Here's Nate, who we saw kind of going through the grass a few laps ago, but he has gathered it up and looking to get around Alan Capers right in front of him. That would be for the 8th spot. He's got Tim Masters behind him. Excuse me, that would be for 7th if he's able to get around Capers. He did get around Tim Masters, so my apologies there. Little 3-car battle here on the racetrack. Looks like to be the best bowl so far. Top 3 have kind of separated themselves out just a little bit. The lead is holding steady at about 2.5 seconds. It's Billy Wise on the track right now. He's fallen back to 6th spot from the... He was the leader on the restart, but definitely, like we said, has those old tires on his machine. Tanner Sharp looking to see if he can catch that 25 in front of him. He's going to be dealing with the 20 of Wilson behind him in just a moment. That 20 car is very fast. We heard Tim Masters say that in his interview. So Tanner probably not going to be too keen on letting the 20 by, because those two drivers were involved in the caution earlier. Look how good that 20 is on the brakes in the 3, though. He just shoots up to the back of that, of Tanner's car, and very quick through those under braking. But he's going to have to get the nose on him out of turn 2 probably, and just kind of dive it in there if he wants to do anything, because my goodness, it's something watching that 20 car in turn 3 because of how good he is on the brakes. That's really where he's making his time up, because around the rest of the track, he's about as good as anyone else. Tanner running a little bit higher line through 1 and 2 to try to get that momentum off and keep that 20 car from diving him into 3. Actually running a little bit higher in 3 as well. Kind of parking the corner a little bit more than Dave Wilson. They've actually elected to run around the yellow line for the most part. Tanner actually kind of entering high and going down low. You see it right there. He's able to get a bit of a run off the corner, but just we'll see that closing rate right here. Dave Wilson's so good on those brakes. About 2 laps to go here. Indeed, 2 laps to go. So this battle for second place, we'll try to keep an eye on it because that will be something that goes to the end. Kyle Zimmer, 2.4 seconds. Ooh, contact! Wilson and Sharp got into it in turn 3. Ooh, Tanner not happy with it. Ooh, that is not what. No caution, but Tanner definitely was not happy with Dave Wilson on that move, and I think that we saw the displeasure from him. So I think that that is going to be giving the 3rd place to Chris Roberge, or excuse me, Dave Wilson. But across the line, your winner is going to be Kyle Zimmer. We had some controversy at the end of this race, no doubt about that, between Wilson and Sharp. And finishing 2nd place, looks like it's going to be Chris Roberge, and 3rd, AJ Digby. 4th, Billy Wise and Tanner Sharp going to come home in 5th place. Wow. Fireworks. Fireworks at the end of this race. That 20 car smoking around the racetrack. That definitely a big hit to the outside wall we saw with Tanner Sharp. We'll have to see what happens with that because it's not something that you want to see, intentional wrecking like that, but I think we saw it twice tonight with Tanner. And I don't want to point any fingers here, but just from my perspective up here in the booth, that was something that looked like it happened. But we'll have to see how that plays out. But either way, Kyle Zimmer, great run for him tonight. We knew he was fast, and once he got the track position, was able to hold it, and rightfully so, burning those tires down, putting on a show for these fans in Richmond, Virginia. And definitely they did see one hell of a show tonight. And wow, what a race that was. We'll let these drivers kind of collect their thoughts a bit and get some interviews for you from the top 3 in just a moment.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Richmond Raceway, and we have concluded tonight's event. Kyle Zimmer coming home with the win, Chris Roberge, AJ Digby rounding off your podium. We're going to have some interviews for you, starting with AJ Digby. I've caught up with him. AJ, this is Cameron Rich in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
All right, well, before I ask the maybe obvious question, I kind of just want to take us through your night, through your eyes, that whole entire race. Like, that was something to watch from up here in the booth.
Well, as I said, I did pretty well early. Was leading for a bit and then just got hit by a lapped car, but had to fight through that damage for the first whole green flag run. And so I had a little bit of damage, a little bit of worn out tires, and we were actually 1 lap away from pitting. Like, we were coming in that lap when the caution came out at 75. And so we got lucky that we didn't come in the lap before, because we would have been stuck about 2 laps down probably. But and then just was in the top 4 the whole night. I felt like I had a car to for sure be top 3 and even fight for a win. I was kind of just biding my time most of the time and just kind of hanging out in 4th. And for some reason I didn't seem to have a long run car, which is very polar opposite of what I usually am. But I was able to bide my time and hold on to my tires a little bit, and then just was able to be up there towards the end, and then just got caught up in 2 wrecks. From what it seemed like the 3 spun a lapped car right in front of us, and then on the ensuing restart he blew the corner and dove bomb Dave, which spun right in front of us. So we just got collected in 2 wrecks, and there was nothing we could really do about it. So we had to pit, had to get fresh tires and the faster pair. So I had to fight from the back again, and so then we worked our way from the back. I was thinking I was going to be top 5, and then didn't expect a podium that way. I expected a straight up podium, but hey, I guess I'll take it. 3rd place finish. Very wild race. It must have been a full night here at Richmond.
Yeah, very, very interesting. The way that went down. But was there any? We saw some incidents between the top 4, that big wreck, and what happened in the end. Was there any kind of tempers that you kind of sensed between anyone up there? Because it definitely seemed like there was some bumping and banging.
Yeah, there was a little bit. I don't think the 20 was happy about getting dive bomb and spun out, and I wasn't happy that 2 guys got spun out in front of me. And so I think, I know from my side, I was pretty upset, because even after the first one, or first or second caution, I was restarting 7th, but I knew I had a good shot. I was on fresh tires. I knew I had a fast car. I still knew I had a good shot to hopefully get up there and challenge. And then there was another wreck, and didn't cause a caution, but it threw me way behind. So I know some people were frustrated. I know the 20 is probably frustrated because he got dove bombed and tapped around, and so did Fernando. The 17, he got tapped around as a lap down car and kind of wrecked into everybody. So I mean, it's short track tempers, I guess, but at the same time, at some point there has to be a little bit of smarter racing, because I know that we're better than this. We had 70-some green flag laps, and it's just people being too aggressive and not making smart moves to wreck the whole field, basically, and invert everything.
Yeah, very, very true about that. But as always, AJ, pleasure to talk to you. Before we let you go, we know you got some shout-outs to give us.
Yeah, thanks to my spotter, Kevin Vollmer, for joining, and then my crew chief and race strategist, Brian Newton, the both Zulu guys. And then thanks to you guys for putting on this broadcast. I'm excited to watch it later. And then Jeff for the league. As always, it's always fun. I always enjoy it. Just would like to get a little bit more of what we had in the first half, where it was clean, and less in the second half. But it was a great race.
Yeah, it was definitely a great race from up here in the booth. So, but anyway, AJ, once again, thanks for talking to us, and congrats on finishing 3rd.
Thank you, guys.
All right, well, that was your 3rd place finisher, AJ Digby. I'm going to walk on over here to a couple rows down the grid here and get Chris Roberge, and I'm caught up with him. Chris Roberge, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. Well, you finished 2nd tonight. You probably didn't think you were going to in those last few laps, but kind of just take us through the race from your perspective.
One, it was a tough track. I know I was a lap behind for a long, long time, and the wrong car too, because I usually drive a Toyota, but somehow I accidentally hit the wrong button and made me drive a Chevy instead, but it's okay. 2nd place is good for me.
Yeah, very good. And I kind of want to ask you there, did you kind of, that little incident there between the 3 and the 20 at the end, did you kind of sense that was coming, or was it kind of just like a surprise?
That was a surprise. I said, oh, please don't come up when I go up top. Same with AJ was right behind me too at the time. I said, oh, please don't crash.
Yeah, it was a very crazy thing that happened. Even surprised us up here in the booth, so I can only imagine that it did you. But you know, you did come home with a 2nd place. Not something you can ever complain about, really. It's a great run at the short track. But we do go to the big fast wide Talladega Super Speedway next week, and you did get the win earlier on the season at Daytona, so I gotta imagine you are probably looking forward to that.
Yeah, see if I can keep my streak up for a big race, big speedway.
All right, Chris. Well, appreciate you talking to us, bud. But before we let you go, we know you got some shout-outs for us, so let's hear them.
Well, thanks for Jess Smith hosting this, getting all the program going, and awesome racers around here. Thanks to you guys up the booth. Thanks for my wife, and sorry for my teammate there, didn't do so well, but it's alright. Hopefully we do better, and hopefully next week will be cool.
All right, Chris. Well, congrats on finishing second tonight. Thank you so much for talking to us, as always, and hope to see you again next week.
Oh, you sure will.
That was your second place finisher, Chris Roberge. Pretty happy about that, and definitely happy about his chances next week to keep his streak alive. But I'm going to go ahead and catch up with our winner here, Kyle Zimmer, who's celebrating his win tonight at the Richmond Raceway. Definitely a good run on his part. But I've got Kyle Zimmer here. And Kyle, that's one hell of a race you had. I kind of just take us through it in your own eyes.
Well, it was a lot of green flags, especially on the start of the race. It was fun. I mean, the first 10 laps, there were a couple of lead changes. It was between Tanner, AJ, and Dave. It was fun battle throughout at the beginning of the run. Like the very clean battle as well, and then we kind of separated. And with the tire wear, we started coming in. I had to try to make a better entry out and try to find my lane, how to go through the corner, because I was starting to lose time to Tanner, and I slowly started catching up the field, the leader to me. As the long run went through, and then we had a series of cautions between here to there, and just basically try to keep the car clean, keep the front. Fortunately, I noticed Tanner got into Dave, and I actually got into him, and I really had nowhere to go. I actually turned him, and I apologize for that too. And as the final caution came, it was basically just around belly for the lead, and never looked back and then pulled away. Finally get the win first time at the CJ after I've been so close a few times last couple of weeks. I'm very happy to get a win today, especially with the pole as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to ask you is, we saw that you were very quick on the long run, just not able to kind of do anything with it. Did you know that you were going to be faster than Dave on the long run, or were you just kind of getting held up by lap traffic there? Just want to ask you a question. We saw that you were pretty quick on the long run there. We caught Dave a little bit, but we're kind of held up by lap traffic there. Was that kind of the story of your night tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the lap traffic was definitely I rode throughout the race, and I noticed when I think it was early first on green lap we had. I noticed when Dave gets into the traffic, I would catch him a little bit. Then once I get behind those guys, and I could lose some time right there. So really kind of balance out here to there, and you just gotta try to pass them clean as much as I can. Pass around some clean, and hopefully give you room. And especially like this track, lap traffic definitely comes into play for sure.
All right, one final question. We do go to Talladega next week. How are you looking forward to that track? Just a bit different than this track here at Richmond, but definitely going to be probably just as wild.
Oh, and yeah, Talladega, and that's definitely going to be a fun race. I'm definitely looking forward to. I never won the plate trot in this thing, so overall, I've always had kind of sort of bad luck in place. So hopefully, I know Daytona had the top 5, so hopefully I can finish out a strong race there and maybe even win if I can. Definitely, the traffic, the Talladega definitely could be a fun race, and especially trap position definitely would be key. Hopefully have some fun to go with to go for the lead at the end of the race like that. So it should be fun to watch.
Absolutely, and we do thank you each and every week for coming to talk to us, Kyle. Before we let you go and go celebrate your win, we know you got some shout-outs for us, so let's hear them.
Yeah, definitely like to shout out to you guys and Rewind TV, broadcasting weekend and out. And definitely like to thank everyone who participated this in and out. I want to thank Rabbi Racy, Levi for believing in me, racing for them. And I want to thank MS Ford for sponsoring. And I want to thank Jeff for making this thing. And without this would happen. It's been a great race today. Definitely looking forward to next week.
All right, Kyle. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us, and go celebrate your win. Congrats on it, on getting it tonight. That was your winner, Kyle Zimmer, getting the win tonight at the Richmond Raceway. And I've caught up with the man himself, the owner, organizer, the big dude of SimPossible Racing League, Jeff Schmidt. You got a copy?
What's up, Cameron?
Oh, it's pretty good, man. That was a fun race to watch from my end. I hope that you kind of saw the same thing.
Yeah, what a awesome green flag run we had at the beginning there. Kept going and going, and I know some of those guys on those old tires were not happy because you know how it is on those old tires. But yeah, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, I saw some rough racing tonight. It was kind of a seismic shift in the race. We went from long green flag runs to a bit of pushing and shoving, it looked like tonight. So, short track racing at its best, right?
Absolutely, and that is kind of how it looked like it played out. And if that's the case, they did a good job pacing until the end to get to that. Got a little bit chaotic at the end, but I mean, that's racing. You got to do what you got to do. A place like Richmond, sometimes you got to be a little aggressive to get that pass, and sometimes you might be a little faster than the guy in front of you, but it's hard to get that pass around them down low without sliding up the track. So you got to be careful there. And we've seen that tonight a little bit, but it's racing. It happens here. It's not intentional. And overall the racing was pretty fantastic.
Absolutely. And one thing I kind of want to ask you about, and I know the question of it, but the viewers don't. There is some news on the development for the Monday night series that's going to be starting up here pretty soon, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did 2 seasons of trucks, and that was a blast. Thank you to MS Forward for sponsoring our last truck season. Man, that was a huge help. And yeah, congrats to Kyle Zimmer for winning that truck championship and the race tonight. He's on fire. So we did a vote for, should we stay in the trucks or should we try a different car? And it was pretty much split 50-50 between the votes of the K&N car and the truck. So what we decided to do is a split series. 1 week we're going to be in one vehicle and the next the other. So every 2 weeks we'll be racing K&N car, and every 2 weeks we'll be racing the truck.
That's very cool. Definitely something that's going to keep these drivers on their toes and keep us on our toes as well. It's going to be cool to see different cars and trucks, I guess, week in and week out. So going to be cool to see that. Definitely, I love the K&N car. It looks cool. So going to be cool to see that. But before we let you go, we know you have a lot of people you love to think and keep this league running and running like the Energizer Bunny. So let's hear that.
Yeah, you got it, man. And we're running and we're not going to stop. Thank you guys at 3 Wide for doing what you do. Man, I know even as of late with a couple issues that arose and still being able to get out here last minute kind of and do this broadcast for us, I mean, that just shows how awesome you guys are and the dedication of what you do. the best broadcaster out there by far. Everyone that watches these things, please go and subscribe to it. Hit that bell icon if you want to get notified for the races when they come up. And yeah, just awesome broadcast always. Thank you, Cameron, for commentating tonight. I know you were by yourself out in there tonight, and I know it's not the easiest thing to do, so we surely appreciate you doing that for us. And Carlos for doing his camera work as always and putting an amazing stream out there. Thanks to MS Ford for sponsoring our truck series. They're not the sponsor of this series, unfortunately, but they helped us out greatly, and they're always going to be in our minds for helping us out when they did, so thank you to them. The drivers, their friends and family, the spotters that come in here and help the drivers out. Man, just an awesome group of people that we have that support us, and we're truly blessed to be able to say that. We have people that come out and support us that aren't even the drivers, so very cool. And yeah, just always looking forward to the next race, man. It's been a blast.
And definitely we do up here in the booth as well. Always good to see what these guys put on for the show, and we know that you can give these drivers shopping carts in the Walmart parking lot and they put on a damn good show, so we don't have to worry about that. But either way, Jeff, we appreciate you coming to talk to us each and every week. I do believe in this league, not just because I broadcast it, but because I've kind of befriended a lot of the people in it, and it's really fun to be a part of it. So it's pretty cool. It's more of a friendly thing than actually a league, if that makes sense. So really, if you aren't really subscribed to the idea of the SimPossible League, you should, because it's awesome and it's always here on 3xTV. So before we get this broadcast wrapped up and let everybody go, we got some results for you tonight. Your winner, Kyle Zimmer, coming home with his first win of the year in the B-Car Series. Christopher Burge coming home second. AJ Digby in third. Billy Wise, a good fourth place finish for him, holding off on those older tires on that restart. Tanner Sharp, some issues there at the end, coming home in fifth. Nate Catilla, a good run for him in sixth. Alan Capers in seventh. Had my screen go black on me a bit there. So Tim Masters, we talked to him. Probably not the run he wanted, but coming home in 8th nonetheless, a good top 10. Brian Lowhead in 9th, and Dave Wilson involved in that last accident with Tanner Sharp coming home in 10th. Tom Johnson finishing 11th, Fernando Matos in 12th, Johnny Berardi in 13th, Thomas Wise in 14th, and Doug McCollum in 15th. But you know what? That's all we got for you guys tonight from here in Richmond.
You know what, Cameron? I hate to cut you off. I got one more thing to say. Is that all right, buddy?
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely forgot. Shout out to my mom. It's her birthday today, and she's a huge supporter of SimPossible. She came up with the name SimPossible, and she's helped out a lot with schedules and different things. So huge shout out to Jean Schmidt, my mother. Happy birthday, Ma. Thanks. Sorry, Cameron.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely happy birthday to Mama Jeff Schmidt. So I hope if you watch this, definitely have a good birthday. And yeah, happy birthday, Miss Impossible. You see it right there on the screen. Thank you very much, Carlos. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up real quick. So a huge shout out to SimTV for the cameras who give us them each and every week, allow you to watch the good racing that these guys put on. Shout out to everybody who comes and hangs out with us in the chat. A shout out to everybody who comes to watch us and doesn't hang out with us in the chat. We appreciate each and every view, but you know what? That's all we got for you tonight. So you're in Richmond, home of the bars. Go to one of them. There's plenty of them around. I personally know that. So hope everybody has a good night, and we will see you again next week.